Sup, everybody? Early Stoppage MMA here. Today we're going to be going through some fighters that I think are going to bounce back from losses. I'll be going through one fighter in each of the divisions and just give them my thoughts and make a case for why I think that their next fights are going to be successes. So we'll just jump right into it. With the flyweight division, this is a bit of a caveat because now he is moving to the bantamweight division. I'm picking Kaya Sakura. I think Kaya Sakura is going to win a fight. I don't know if that's a bold statement. He did okay against Pantoja. Like, he was looking dangerous. Pantoja did manage to finish him quick. I mean, it's not a horrible loss, though. With like the Tim Elliott fight, that's just, I mean, it's an awkward style matchup. And Kaya Sakura was doing well before he inevitably got caught in a submission. His super exciting style is pretty explosive and dangerous. And I think that his weakness is clearly the grappling, but I don't think that that's going to hold him back from getting, a win. And I think that'll be his next one against whoever he fights at bantamweight, which at this point is probably going to be somebody unranked. And the bantamweight division falls off a fucking cliff with the unranked portion of it. So I think Kaya Sakura can do it. He's big for a flyweight, so he won't be completely out of the ordinary yet at bantamweight. I think Kaya Sakura is going to have a good performance in his next fight, and he's going to bounce back. So hopefully that's true. Moving on to the bantamweight division. Mario Batista. I mean, this is kind of a gimme, but he looked good against Umar. I mean, he hurt him. On the ground, he never stayed content in those grappling exchanges. He was always trying to get out of them, always trying to move, and I think that that's a very good sign. I think that that's an impressive thing to do. And his striking looked solid. It has looked solid recently. His cardio is really good. I think Mario Batista proved that he is as good as his sort of resume and performances have made him out to be. I was a big hater of this guy, and I've kind of come around on him. I think that especially that Umar fight was very entertaining. I'm genuinely kind of excited to see what Mario Batista does next. So I think that he's going to win, especially because I don't know who they're going to pair him up with. Like, if they put him against like Song Yadong or something, I think Mario Batista would probably edge that one out, just based on what we've seen. So Mario Batista, pretty impressed with him, pretty impressed with his recent performances. I think he's going to bounce back. I think he'll be at the top of the bantamweight division for a while, if I'm being completely honest. So moving on to the featherweight division. This is maybe a bold claim as well, kind of harkening back to the Kaya Sakura one, somebody coming from another promotion who just can't seem to get it done. But Aaron Pico, I think Aaron Pico is going to win his next fight. I think, unless they, match him up with, Josh Emmett, I think that might be a bit of a dangerous situation for him, because Aaron Pico does not have a very good chin. We knew that before he got to the UFC, and then we saw it in his fight against Lerone Murphy. But, Lerone Murphy did time that perfectly on the chin, that spinning back elbow. So I don't know. It's a weird situation. At the same time, I just think that, with his crazy pace, with his solid power and his good grappling, I think Aaron Pico is going to win. He's going to beat somebody. Featherweight is actually becoming a pretty good division. It was a bit weak, or it had been weak the past few years, but it really is kind of starting to come together as a pretty good division, talent-wise, excitement-wise, name-wise. I think Aaron Pico will probably find himself in there somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he's almost like, if he replaces Josh Emmett in the division as Josh Emmett starts to age and inevitably probably falls out of the rankings or retires. So Aaron Pico, I can see Aaron Pico bouncing back for sure. I think he probably will. Because again, like I said, the division is getting good, but it's still not the best division ever. So, I'm excited to see what Aaron Pico does next. I think he's going to bounce back. Moving on to lightweight, Chase Hooper. I'm not going to lie, watching Chase Hooper lose was a bit of a bummer. I think that Chase Hooper is very impressive. I think that his striking defense and his head movement is something that he kind of has to work on, as we saw in the last fight where he got hurt. But, before that, he had great momentum. Switching from featherweight to lightweight was a great career call for him, I think. He's got incredible grappling, and he's super well-rounded. And he's becoming more well-rounded every time that we see him. He puts everything together in his game very, very well. And I think that's gonna continue to show successes for him. Like, I think he's going to bounce back in his next fight against, probably like Jared Gordon or something. Yeah, Chase Hooper's awesome. I really think that Chase Hooper is, he's like Charles Oliveira. People have compared him to that, and I think that that's an apt comparison. He's sort of figuring it out. He's making his way through, and yeah, Chase Hooper's going to be, I think, a staple of the division going forward in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, moving on to welterweight. Gilbert Burns. By God, I think Gilbert Burns is going to get one win before he retires. That is my prediction. I think that Gilbert Burns is going to get at least one more win before he retires, because he is old. He is very old. He's aging. He's slowing down. But the guy is still a killer. In some of his fights, he's lost. But against Sean Brady, he had some moments. Against JDM, it was a fairly close fight. So, Gilbert Burns has shown that he's still, he has moments. He's got potential. And he's just a good striker. And I think that takes him pretty far along with his grappling pedigree. I think that Gilbert Burns is going to bounce back. At least one fight before he retires. Maybe not his next fight, but at some point down the line, I think he will get that final win of his UFC career. I don't think we have already seen it, I guess, is maybe a better way to put it. So, moving on to the middleweight division. Reinier de Ridder. I'm a fan of this guy. I think that RDR is... I think that when he took that fight against Brendan Allen, I genuinely, maybe it's cope, I don't know, but I think that we've seen it a few times where people have a really good year and they continue to fight after fight after fight. And it does seem to wear them down. I think that it's probably a matter of overtraining. And he had great momentum, for sure. And not to take too much away from Brendan Allen. Great game planning on his part going into that fight. But I do think Reinier de Ridder had all of the tools to beat Brendan Allen, at least on paper, like I'm Anthony Smith. But, Reinier de Ridder is strong. He's stronger than a lot of the other middleweights. He's pretty much proven that. He's huge. He's got an incredibly dangerous submission game. Deceiving power. Like, when this guy throws punches, they look goofy as hell. They come out from weird angles, and they don't look like they're generating a ton of power. But you see when people get hit with them that they either, grimace or kind of wilt, or they immediately back off and they don't want to engage in the striking anymore. There is something to this guy's, hands, and I don't really know how to explain it. You just have to watch. It's like the little nuances of the fight, but I think all of those together, those factors, those characteristics, make RDR a force to be dealt with in the middleweight division. I think he's probably going to come back and win. The gas tank, I think, is something that has to be addressed. But, who knows? Again, it could have been overtraining. We saw him make it happen with GM3 in a pretty high-pace, tiring fight, where he managed to push through. And even in the Robert Whittaker fight, I mean, they were both gassed, but who knows? Who knows? I still think RDR is good. It probably depends on the matchup, but I think he's going to be able to win his next fight, or at least a fight down the road, and stay in the rankings for sure. So, that's RDR. Moving on from there to the light heavyweight division. Another one of my boys. Sound the alarms, bang the drums, because I'm talking about Zhang Mingyang again. If you're a frequent viewer of this channel, you will know that I never shut the fuck up about this guy, because I do think he's really good, and I think that cope alert, I guess, but the perennial nerve kick to his leg, or just the kicks to his leg, were flukish. I'm not gonna say they were a fluke, but I don't think that happens to him going forward or all that often. He was smoking Johnny Walker on the feet, just having a hard time dealing with the range, but still beating him pretty clearly. He's got a great fucking chin. He can eat punches like nobody else, and he gets in those scraps where he can do it. He's super fast and athletic for the weight class. Great, he's huge, big size, and those fucking elbows are such a good weapon against dudes who don't have very good boxing. I just, when he gets in there with somebody and they're in the pocket and they're trading, and then he steps in and smothers them and throws those fucking elbows, they're just devastating. And I don't think anybody in the division really has tools to deal with that all that well. So, yeah, I think that Zhang Mingyang is going to do something, and I think everybody will mark my words. Mark my words. Everyone will jump back on the Zhang Mingyang train after he does something horrific to Kennedy Nezuchuku or somebody else just outside of the rankings, Nikita Krylov. We're going to see something horrific happen, and everybody will be like, holy shit, this guy's back. Yeah, Zhang Mingyang fucking rules. I'm not tolerating any slander. He is winning his next fight. And then capping this off with heavyweight, I'm going with Rizvan Kuniev. I mean, he looked pretty good against Curtis Blades. In real time when I watched that fight, I thought Rizvan Kuniev won, to be completely honest, which was shocking because I thought that fight was such a joke. But no, he looked good against Curtis Blades, and that was such a jump up the rankings for him. It kind of proved he can hang with the big boys. I do think that part of that is just because heavyweight is so shallow, though. So who knows? Somebody could come along and just smoke this fucking guy because that's just how heavyweight works. There's no rhyme or reason to anything that happens, but that's just how it is. But the main thing is, like, even before the UFC, this guy has good finishing instincts. Like, he sees somebody hurt, he sees an opportunity to get submission, and he jumps on them. So I think all of that combined is going to make it a situation where I think this dude beats whatever fucking blob or bum they put him up against. Yeah, I think he's better than some of the other people we've seen. I think he's better than like Taliesin Teixeira and some of the exact type of heavyweight I'm talking about. Like main evented one thing and then they were fucking gone. I think he is a step above them, but yeah, this is my list. I think that all these guys are going to bounce back. I think that there's a lot of other, people I could have put in there like John Silva, but it feels like a bit of a cop out. I tried to find people that were maybe weird choices that you hadn't thought of. So leave your picks in the comments down below. Thanks for watching the video. Like and subscribe. Yeah, have a good one. Peace.